Good morning. We are back at our remodel and we're getting set up to receive the cabinets. So we have to get things moved here for the cabinets. But this is everything. This is all the wood that we're going to put on the ceiling. And then we have some extra brick that we're going to use up. And then we have to get all this other stuff moved. But as you can tell, the carpet has gone in. That's our fireplace that we German smeared. TV will go back up. Mantle stays like it is. That's our ceiling that we're gonna wrap. So we're gonna get started on getting this line figured out. Or we'll cover the carpet, move this furniture over there. But once we get the ceiling in, then we can get this brick wrapped up. And I might hold off on the brick until they stain and finish all this, and then I can put the brick in so they don't smear anything. So I'll 50-50 on what I'm going to do there. But everything else is going good. Bookcases here that are going to go in. This is going to get filled with cabinets and a banquette. So this all get moved. Then we'll feather in this brick here. One row of brick missing there. And we'll wrap that in ceiling. There's some beams going here, so we're gonna leave this out until those beams go in, so then we have a little bit of play to cover it. Here's that carpet that got installed. And we put a vent in. So this vent is a little bit different than the fit vents. And just to kind of go over, these are from Menards, so a lot more cost-effective option. And he just set this carpet in there. We're gonna put a piece of wood in here and then drop this back in. But this is kind of the style of them. I think they're less than $20 a piece. And they're made out of plastic. I know Fit Vents offer plastic and metal. And then it just has this lever here that adjusts the airflow. So that's how that works, close and open, as you can see there. So got a few of these and we put these in, just more cost effective. Don't have to pay for the shipping and everything. So, and they so far held up well, so no issues, but they just go over the fact, drop down. Sometimes I do ones that are recessed in, but you have to put those in before the floor. But these should work good. And so yeah, we'll cut a little block here and get that to be more flush on that. But this room will get filled with cabinets. So stay tuned for that. That's all gonna happen. And then we'll finish this casing, get the pocket door in once that shows up. And you can tell here's the other fit vent that we're doing. Oh, there's that one there. So that nice and clean look, and that's recessed in underneath the tile. So I put this in before the brick. So these other ones that we did, I'll show you one over here. These are existing, so we dropped it in. We had some flooring left over. So these are the Menards brand again. We'll get that all cleaned up, cleaners, but these just drop in from the top. And then this one is nice and flush. As you can tell, we put wood underneath there and then glued that down. So kind of a different look there. Looks nice and clean, better than the old ones. So, and then here's that brick or the stone fireplace that we smeared. Turned out good. So taped it off really good and then cut all the tape out. But that's how that looks. Yeah, stay tuned on more updates happening and go from there. This will be filled with cabinets, hopefully today. have the US 4 blade by Dr. Dex, 10-inch, nice and thick and heavy duty, 40 tooth. So cuts really good. So check those out. The beams going in, so this is a two-sided beam there. Those are the cleats. And another beam will go there. We're going to move that light fixture. And we have one there on the corner. So those are all going in. Cabinets are here. And they're going in. Bookcases throughout. We have this big bookcase here that got installed yesterday. Big statement piece, looks really, really good. Next to the fireplace that we German smeared, but that looks nice. And we have the ceiling going in there as well. So coming along nice and smooth. We are here at the Papillion remodel, and as you can tell behind us, we have the ceiling going in, just working by myself today, but have this started, and we trimmed it out with a piece of metal, like a sluter metal, and then on the top, we're gonna run it horizontal, and you'll be able to see that, but making my way through, and getting there. That cabinet right there is just barely below. So the wood just sneaks right underneath there, so I just go about a couple inches in and that works out. But we'll show you the rest of the cabinets we got. Big bookcase going in there, so we'll check out everything that they got done for progress. So we have this nice white oak big bookcase there, and the ceiling's gonna get stained about, I don't know, 20-30% darker brown into that, so that'll kind of be highlighted, a little bit darker finish. And this is unfinished white oak 3/8 flooring, and I'm gluing it with PL, the PL Premium. And I don't know if anybody's ever had that issue, but I mean, no matter what kind of caulk gun over the years I've gotten, it always still drips out. So that's something you always have scrap wood and then just let it drip a little bit. Even if I hold it on this piece here for a while and let it drip, it still ends up oozing out. But got the good stuff to glue that on, so I'm putting glue on there, but that's the pile that we always get. And you can see how we had that ceiling just barely and it snuck underneath. That was pretty tight. This one is going to be super close as well. Probably a little bit easier to get those in than the other side because the ceilings are different when we shot the laser. Or the cabinet height was different when we shot the laser. But I'm going to leave off that top row of brick until the stainers get done. Staining and finishing, just be easier for them. So I'll leave that off until the very end. But there's that metal track that we have in, and it has about a 3/8 lip. So I'll be able to get that first row and just drop it right in there. So, but that's all going to go horizontal and not vertical. So horizontal will just keep with the same plane for that aspect of it. So back to these white oak cabinets, there's going to be sconces up here, 1, 2, and 3, and there's a wire behind there. So when the electrician drills out those spots, he can fish that wire through. But all these are not adjustable. And you can, if they were adjustable, you have all these hundreds of holes in here, and you'd be able to see that. So we made those fixed with a finished back on it. And it came in 2 pieces, as you might be able to tell. This is white oak, so the finish doesn't always blend in and match, but there's the bottom piece and then the top piece. I can't haul that in one big piece. So that's what that looks like. Could be doors here on the bottom. Outlet there we couldn't move. And then we cut in the return air vent. So that's below there. We couldn't move that either. So that's how we finished that. But that's a nice tall bookcase. These are 10-foot ceilings. So super tall. Pan around, this is the whitewash that we did on the fireplace, or not the whitewash, the German smear that we did on that. That's the finished look on that. So that mantle will stay that finish as well, that little bit browner finish. There's different wood finishes. That's going to be that. And then we have this. And then we have what this is going to be darker. So lots of different finishes going on. And then we might potentially paint this island a different color. So we got to finalize that to get that painted. But this is all the brick that we did. It's the fit vent there. I have that ready. I'm going to paint that. I got to tape that off and spray paint that black. And then I'll paint the edges of the fit vent black as well. Here's all the cabinet guys stuff. So these are, I think, 15 inches deep. And I gotta tie the brick back into here eventually, and then over here as well. But these are floor to ceiling bookcases, just right below the beam. And they just put these beams up today too. So these are white oak beams, 8-inch by 8-inch. And this is about 11 feet to there. So here I gotta grout this in. This all get grouted in and finished. So with the brick irregularly, being irregular, you know, I can get this to look good with the grout. Here's a trick that we always do. I told the guys just cut the drywall out here and then we'll patch that back in, but it gives them some play so they can sneak that up and in with that angle. Instead of trying to go wall to wall fit, so we cut a little piece of drywall out there and then we'll patch that back in. Here we had some play because this gets the wood, so we had about a 1/2 inch of play there. So they just cut those a little short, and then the wood that I put on there will cover that up on the sides. But here's that metal track. Here it's going to be similar as oil rub bronze, but it's going to be super close to the stain color. And I butt the bottom up so the material butts up against the bottom, and then in the top this will accept the flooring material right through there, so it just gives it a nice clean look. But there's no other way to do that. There's no way that with 3/8 flooring you could miter this whole edge and then pin it together and glue it together without it coming apart eventually, and for being thin because it's 3/8 engineer. So there's just no proper way to do that. I will miter these here. This is a straight 90. I will miter those, and I will also miter this here and not put a piece of metal there, so that'll all get mitered there. So, but come along. I should be able to get some of that done, hopefully more today. That's another bookcase that goes over here as well. And here's our wood floor, or our stone floor here. And then this is where that water leak was, so I have to patch some of this floor in. So you can see there's floor missing here. That's where we had all that water that leaked in because of that kickout flashing. So that all has to get patched in. I have a little bit left, so hopefully I got enough to patch that in because they don't make this floor anymore. So, and then this will be a bench here that you sit at. So that will all be there. And here are that's the carpet that went in. And this is why we did the carpet before the cabinets. I usually recommend not, but with these cabinets here, this area here, and then this area here, and then we have to we're leaving an 8-inch gap here as well. There's no way that carpet guys could get all that in there and work around everything. So, and then this will also get bookcases all the way around. And this is where the desk is, so you'll be able to look out the windows. And then this will be more bookcases here all the way up. So lots of cabinets in here and everything else. So this is where the casing's gonna go. I gotta get the pocket door in first so I can finagle that in, and then I can adjust everything from there and finish out the casing. But I gotta, since the manufacturer misordered the pocket door, 6'8", and it's 8 foot. I gotta wait on that special order. So hopefully I should be able to sneak it in at an angle here. I've done that before. I mount it on the top track and then pivot, and then it slides in there. It's a little tricky. That's why I left the casing off here and the jamb off here. And I will adjust this jamb if I need to, or take that off if I need to. But we'll see, hopefully not. But that's kind of the office area. And that's the reason why we did the carpet first. To get the cabinets, we'll just set them right on top. Not gonna hurt anything. They'll fasten to the wall and they're not gonna sink down or anything. And this all gets wood top here. No countertops or anything, just all wood tops as you see. But that's that. So everything's coming along well, and yep. So that's kind of the showstopper pick right here. All this kind of tying in. So it's gonna look really, really good. But stay tuned for more. We'll get this done and then go from there. So we're setting up to do this miter, outside miter on the cloud above. So I have both my saws, both battery powered, have the DeWalt on the right, set up for the 22, and then also have the Milwaukee set up on the 22. I hardly ever do this, I usually just switch left to right, but I've seen enough of this that it makes sense. If you have two saws to set it up and you're doing a miter or even crown molding, it's always good to do. You can tell they got their furniture delivered by the Lovesack company. So they have a little project to do to put that together. This is what we do in the garage. Cabinet guys, table saw there of mine, but cabinet guys have the same setup. They're gonna do the two miter saws when they cut crown and other things, and they have their stand. So rocking the DeWalt usually, so it's a good saw. But yeah, this is my setup, and kind of wanted to show you how that was when I'm cutting miters, having back and forth a lot. It's just easier to set up two saws and go from there. Cabinet guys just left, so this is what the cabinets look like in that nook area. Added that window, and then there'll be a nook here where we can sit around with a table. But that's the bookcases. They turned out really well. This right here, we will put the track, Speedy Mason track in here, and then put the brick. These cabinets were, we just left those off, so they're units, so they could slide those in there easier. So left that bottom row and a half off, but we'll fill that in, get that grouted. And then we'll do the same there. And then we have a little sliver piece, or slivers are done already. But we'll just have these little pieces here to butt up into there. And then we have that floor to patch. Otherwise, we get that fit vent put in, and then the ceiling's all wrapped up. That's all white oak. This angle was 22.5 degrees. So that's what that angle was. I have this aluminum LX230, so if you don't have one of these, it's real nice. It tells you all the angles, so you can spread it out. You can do angles this way, or you can determine the angle that way. So if you have it, single cut, it'll give you the single cut, and then I'll give you the miter cut. So I used the miter cut. It was at 22, so it would have been somewhere over there, would have been 22. So I used the miter cut. If it was just a single cut, you would use that, a little bit more than 45. So these come in handy, and that's how I told this angle here. But here it is, Lexon Von, however you want to say that. So got this one from a trim carpenter, so he used it all the time for crown. But that ceiling is done, white oak is all wrapped up. We'll leave that bottom row of brick out until the stain and everything happens. I got to fill in some areas and sand everything down with some 220, but that's the plan. Just fill some little nail holes here and there. I use a micro pinner for all this stuff, so you shouldn't be able to see the pinholes after we stain it, even if we miss one, but we'll have some putty made just in case. Here's that bookcase, did some more detail. They added this piece up here. There will be crown molding that goes around and wraps around. All these shelves are non-adjustable. These will have doors. We added some base chute here because the floor was so out of level. So added some square stock shoe there. So, but this is all white oak and turned out well. A lot of bookcases. So I got that one. And then we're gonna go over here. We have those. And then we have the office. Office is just wood tops, and that's the office, so it's all out of finished plywood, but the tops will be like that. So a nice finish there, and it'd be a printer there. These other pullouts. I gotta order everything gets knobs, so I just gotta order knobs for everything. And then back here, we have that space here. We created this about 8 inches to get past that vent. And also if you drop anything there, you can pick it up easy. So that's why we did that. There'll be bookcases all around here. There'll be a sconce over in this area coming up. Pocket door, still need to do that when that shows up. And then a bookcase from here will be another bookcase. So, and then that all stays like it is, but looking good and coming along. This is why we did the carpet first, trying to do around here and then around all this stuff. Definitely would not have happened, so that's why we put all the carpet in first. But looking good. Good new light fixture and everything. But yeah, that's the update. More to come. So today we are at the state basketball tournament for Nebraska. So at the Bob Devaney Sports Center. So we're gonna check that out today. Off day from work. Support one of my college teammates coaching for Ashland. So I'm gonna check that out. So headed in and watch the basketball game. We're gonna watch my old school play and then watch Ashland from. Thanks for watching. Please like and subscribe and stay tuned for the next episode. Enjoy the beautiful sunset.